Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our LifeWave X39 and information call. And I'm Gregory Mascari up here in Bozeman, Montana. I'll be your host tonight. And we're going to do a brief overview of LifeWave, talk a little bit about our genius scientist and founder, David Schmidt. We're going to talk about our flagship product, and we have a special guest, Dr. Jeffrey Hubbard, that's going to be on and digging in a little bit to the science behind the product and some of the benefits you can look forward to experiencing if you choose to try this breakthrough product. So with that being said, I'm just going to jump right in and give you a little overview here tonight. And basically, I figured out a while ago that what I want to be when I get older is younger. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but welcome to the stem cell revolution, because everyone certainly wants to look, feel, perform, heal, and live younger. And certainly stem cells are the key because they're a vital part of our immune system that repairs and regenerates damaged cells. Now, the problem is the older we get, the fewer stem cells we have. And by the age 60, only a small percentage remain. And sadly, the fewer stem cells we have, the slower we heal. This commercial, and there's no guaranteed or dissatisfied. Well, the good news is you can look, feel, perform, heal, and live younger with a historic breakthrough in stem cell technology. It's a new wearable technology in patch form. It's affordable, safe, non-invasive, it's non-drug. It's a patented form of phototherapy, and it uses specific frequencies of light to increase and improve our stem cell activity. It's the brainchild of our founder and CEO, David Schmidt, who's actually a brilliant scientist and researcher and a genius inventor with over 100 patents and patent pendings. David's been on the leading edge of phototherapy research and science for over 20 years, and he's already conducted over 90 clinical studies proving the efficacy of LifeWave phototherapy products. And for many of us, that's good news and there's many more in the works. So briefly, LifeWave is a 16-year-old advanced technology company. It was founded in 2004 based on an energy-enhancing technology that David developed for Navy SEALs to increase their strength, stamina, performance without drugs, stimulants, or caffeines. And it became so effective, it's now used by world-class athletes around the globe in almost every sport. Our corporate headquarters and laboratory manufacturing is in California and Ireland, with global distribution to 75 plus countries from our 14 global distribution centers. So how does this amazing technology work? Well, real briefly, it's based on a type of light therapy called photobiomodulation. That's kind of a mouthful. Crystal applied or body heat at a specific wavelength of light, which stimulates targeted and beneficial photobiomodulation. And it is the basis of our LifeWave phototherapy patches. And it's been a well-recognized and proven scientific principle that specific frequencies of light can cause very specific changes within our body. For example, when we go out in the sun, a specific frequency of light causes our body to make vitamin D. Another frequency causes our body to make melanin, the chemical that gives us a suntan. And LifeWave's patented technology is based on the same rock-solid scientific principle. And our focus for the last 11 years has been in the field of anti-aging and regenerative science. And I'm happy to tell you that in January of 2019, just about 2 years ago, LifeWave launched our flagship significant product, the X39 stem cell activation patch. And this truly is a historic and affordable breakthrough in stem cell technology. Some are calling it the holy grail of anti-aging and restorative science. And we're actually doing what the multi-billion-dollar companies and big pharma have not been able to do, because X39 actually activates a specific peptide that activates our stem cells and also alters gene expression towards a younger and more vibrant you. And yes, we have patents. Yes, we have clinical studies. Yes, we have amazing field results proving that X39 is actually turning back our biological clock, helping people to look, feel, perform, heal, and live younger. And for us baby is in and he's a founder and president and CEO of Medicare, which is an innovative health and wellness ecosystem that strives to remediate health disparities and tackle chronic illnesses here and abroad. So we're really thrilled to have Dr. Jeff. And welcome, Dr. Jeff.
Hey, sir, how are you?
Hey, excellent. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing fine. You did quite excellent on your first presentation.
I've been
practice makes perfect, my friend.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay? You're kind of choppy on my end.
I can hear you fine, so go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So go back a few seconds. Did you ask me to answer a question?
Well, just jump in and tell us a little bit about your insights into.
Okay, so totally, I am thrilled at the opportunity to be a part of LifeWave, guys. I think that it's an amazing product. I have been researching photobiomodulation and more specifically GHK copper peptide, which was established or kind of discovered in the early 70s by Dr. Lauren Picard in Boston at Harvard University. And so he has identified approximately 4,192 different genes that this particular molecule influences. So it's such a powerful health and wellness molecule. It's called the lifestyle molecule. So whether it's improving the production of those particular gene products or whether it's diminishing those particular gene products, it is working on behalf of your body to make it healthier. And so the experiences and the testimonials that people have when they wear the X39 are just out of sight. I'm always impressed every time I hear what people are saying about, what they're experiencing while they're wearing the X39. I mean, it's been clinically proven to improve blood pressure, to improve cardiovascular circulation. It helps with skin elasticity and skin health. It helps with mental clarity, mental focus. The list just goes on and on and on, and it kind of depends upon where you wear the patches. That's another cool thing that I really like about this technology. Depending upon where you wear them, Mr. Schmidt is an avid practicer of Qigong, so he has already tested many of the patches on different acupuncture locations, and you can find them in the back of your booklet. And those are the hallmark locations that you can wear the patches, but I've been experimenting with them in other locations as well, trying to see exactly what they do and how they do it. And so this is just the tip of the iceberg, in my opinion, about what the patches can do. They came out, as you mentioned, in 2019. So just 2 years in, people are still experiencing all of these different improvements. And so the sky's the limit. I know personally, I really started to see the magic happen about 90 to 120 days. So please don't get discouraged if you don't have what we consider to be an immediate response within a couple of hours or a couple of days of you wearing the patches. Keep wearing them. They are definitely doing their job underneath the surface, even if you don't see a significant difference. One of the most powerful things is to kind of write down some of the things that maybe aren't functioning the way that they used to when you were younger, and then kind of document over time how those particular things are improving. And I watch the magic happen.
Trying a different microphone, Dr. Jeff. Can you hear me okay now?
I hear you perfectly now.
Okay, good. I switched to an exterior microphone. So, I've heard you give the explanation before. Can you explain photobiomodulation? That's kind of a mouthful for many people. And you just break it down into layman's terms for us.
Sure. So, I mean, essentially, we've been experiencing photobiomodulation all our lives when we experience the sun. And so you mentioned earlier about UV rays and how they increase melanin and give us a suntan. Also, those same UV rays are capable of improving circulating vitamin D levels. And so those are a couple of the archaic examples of photobiomodulation. But the science of it and what Mr. Schmidt has done is genius, right? He has basically utilized our own body heat and reflects certain frequencies of near infrared light back into the skin. And that is capable of improving and affecting our biochemistry and eventually our physiology to start to have these sort of improvements and effects. And along with the development or the improvement of the molecule GHK copper peptide, you also are going to stimulate the production of pluripotent stem cells. And those pluripotent stem cells are going to circulate around the body, and they're going to attack inflammation. They're going to attack scar tissue. They're going to attack damaged and worn out cells. And that's really when you start to see the difference. But essentially, photobiomodulation in this capacity is simply reflecting near infrared light back into the skin in order to produce the increase of certain molecules that have been shown to be beneficial.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so each of our different products provides a different frequency of reflection, I guess you could say, or emanation of a frequency of light that, as you say, causes different biochemical responses in the body. Beautiful.
Indeed. And so David gave a really excellent explanation several months ago where he described how he actually goes about establishing those particular frequencies of light. And so he's systematically looking for the frequencies that are going to increase the production of the molecules that we're looking to have in our bodies that have been shown to actually have some therapeutic benefit: glutathione, carnosine, melatonin, the list goes on and on and on.
Beautiful. Well, Dr. Jeff, what are some of the experiences some of your patients and clients what are you seeing with the use and, the introduction of the LifeWave photobiomodulation products into your practice?
Oh, how much time do you have?
We got about 15, 20 minutes.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the most profound things that I recognized very early on, when there was still a tad bit of skepticism, I'll be honest. I just recently got my package in the mail and I've been wearing my patches. And so I had my own sort of immediate benefits: improved sleep, mental clarity, focus, function, energy level. Those things went up. And then I traveled to Houston, and one of my business partners and colleagues has an assisted living facility. And so I had been mentioning the patches to him and was telling him that he needed to try them and so on and so forth. And so he was excited to provide them to some of his residents at the assisted living. And so there was one.
Dr. Jeff, I think now we lost your sound there for a minute. So we lost those last couple of sentences.
How about now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay, perfect. So I'll go back a little bit. Long story short, my business partner and colleague has an assisted living. There was a gentleman there who had a significant ulcer, probably 2 or 3 inches in diameter, and just was really challenging for it to heal. The nursing staff was concerned about it getting infected, and so they had been working around the clock to keep it dressed and appropriate. And so I said, well, hey, one of the biggest things is wound healing. And that's what a lot of people have been talking about. So let's give it a go and see if this is actually going to improve the wound. And so I got there Friday evening. We patched him that evening, Friday, and went back to see him Sunday before I came back to Dallas. And I was just blown away. The wound had reduced itself by several centimeters and had begun to scab over. And so they had been trying to work with this wound for about 3 or 4 weeks to get it healed, and they weren't successful. And then just one X39 patch for 2 days did a world of difference, and just placed that patch about 2 or 3 inches away from the wound, away from the dressing. And that's when I really started to become a believer and say, wow, this is seriously legitimate. Another example, this was with the Eon patch. There's a veteran that I work with, a young lady. She's in her mid-30s. She actually was on the bomb squad in Afghanistan and was involved in a explosion. And
yeah, we lost you again there, Jeff. Your volume cut out. Not hearing you for some reason. Boy, we're having some technical problems. There you go. I think you're right.
Okay. So this lady vet who was involved in this explosion had this traumatic brain injury. She was noticeably uncomfortable at this health and wellness event. And so I approached her. I said, hey, excuse me, kind of give me a little synopsis about what's going on. And I kind of just told her about the patches, and I asked her if I could put one on the back of her neck, and she agreed. And so she circled back to me about 30 minutes later and was like, Doc, what is in this patch? What kind of drugs is this? I've never felt this good in the last 2.5, 3 years. I want these patches. And so that really raised an eyebrow as well, because she was explaining nightmares and challenges sleeping and various different aspects of anxiety, both her and several members of her family. And obviously she's connected with various different veterans. And so she has become a distributor, and she is doing great, kind of introducing these patches to different veterans who have various different illnesses. So those were the two kind of most profound experiences that I had with patients, just trying to help them kind of understand exactly what photobiomodulation does.
Wow, that's beautiful. I had my own little experience a couple of weeks ago. I had some minor oral surgery. In second day, I was pain-free, no swelling. And I know I should have been, because they loaded me up on pain pills and anti-inflammatories, and I didn't need any of them. So it's so amazing how quickly you heal. And these patches truly are wonderful.
Indeed. I completely agree.
Yeah, so we're playing with the volume, so hopefully people can hear me a little bit better. I tried an external microphone. Now I turned the volume up, so hopefully folks can hear me okay. I'm going to leave my video off, so I think I'm having a bandwidth problem. But, I wondered if anybody has any questions, you could begin typing some questions for Dr. Jeff into the chat, and we'll answer any questions we can. But is there anything else you'd like to share with folks before we kind of shift gears and go to a little Q&A, Dr. Jeff?
Sure. I just hope that you guys are getting comfortable with some of the terminology. I think it's really helpful when you have an elevator spiel, give people 20 or 30 seconds when you meet them in public, or when you have the opportunity to speak to them about the product. I hope that our conversation this evening can provide, a couple of key terms and phrases that you can apply in the moment to help people get comfortable with what the technology does and how it works. I think inherently there's going to be a bit of skepticism, hey, what's in this patch? Is it transdermal? That's kind of what most people are accustomed to, is that there's some sort of drug or molecule inside the patch, and that's coming across the skin barrier to create its effects. And so I encourage everybody to kind of get familiar with photobiomodulation and, light therapy, and understanding how that technology works, so that you can really fortify the conversation and help people to understand exactly what's going on, and just encourage them to, hey, try it. You'd be surprised how beneficial a 5-day experience, or even a 3-day experience, can be for someone's psyche in regards to how easy the patch is to use, how effective it is, and what kind of difference it can make.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've all noticed is that some people, their results are quick and dramatic. Other, it's a little slower, and some are, more delayed. But we know as soon as the patch is put on, it's starting to go to work, whether you know it or not. Now, here's a question someone asked about patching in other places. Mm-hmm. Would we want to put the X39 where the pain is, like a hip pain?
Indeed. So I think, in general, I like to think of the X39 like the queen of the chessboard. She can move in any direction, any way, anyhow. 6 spaces, 2 spaces, 1 space, right? So if there's a pain in a joint, patch it. If there is, if you want improved sleep or mental clarity, I love patching right here on governing vessel 24.5, the third eye. That's an amazing spot. But the 2 hallmark locations are governing vessel 14, which is on the back of the neck at C7, and conception vessel 4, which is about 4 finger widths beneath the navel. Those are the 2 hallmark locations, but you can put them on any place and they're going to be beneficial.
Now, Ravel is asking, is it safe to use only the white energy enhancer patch? For some reason, she didn't get the tan patches, and I'd suggest Ravel call customer service and have them reship them to you. Never heard that before, but I know that the energy patches are meant to be in a polarity, so I'm not sure what kind of results you'd get with just 1 energy patch instead of 2. I don't know if, Dr. Jeff, you have any insight into that.
I don't actually. I have been wearing them as a duality as well, and energy patches is quite possibly my second favorite patch behind X39. I'm teeter-tottering. I'm always like, what's my second favorite? But just make sure that you're looking in that second slot. So sometimes if you're not paying attention, you won't even see that second slot in the packaging of the sleeve. So just make sure that you're not overlooking the brown patches inside.
Great. Thanks very much. So here's another question from Yolanda. She says, I've been experiencing slight hypertension, elevated bottom and top numbers with the X39. What are your thoughts on why I switched to the gut patch for now until I figure this out?
That's interesting. So X39 is actually clinically proven to make systolic blood pressure go down, and there's quite a few people who have experienced significant blood pressure reduction over time, over about that 90 to 120 days. The only thing that I could think of is that the body holds a lot of toxins. They hold a lot of toxins in our fat cells. They hold a lot of toxins in the liver. And so when the body begins to detox and have this sort of flushing experience that it has when it's cleaning out, the X39 does that up front. Is just going to regulate and sort of, bring the body into homeostasis and into balance, which means that it has to excrete a lot of things. So you can expect maybe some healthier bowel movements. You can expect maybe some sweating. You can expect maybe, a bit of an emotional response. There's a lot of different things that happen that people are saying. And so each individual is going to be unique. So perhaps this increase in blood pressure is just a temporary thing that the body's going through as it begins to regulate itself and to bring itself into balance. That's the only thing I can think of. I haven't really heard of a scenario where blood pressure increases.
Great, thank you. So here's a question from Lavelle. Is there a patching protocol for high blood sugar?
Well, I tell you what, I don't necessarily have a protocol for elevated blood sugar, but what I do have a protocol for is a lot of the symptoms associated with it. And so You just really stabilize the body with X39. That's going to be for pretty much everyone, in my opinion. And then carnosine is an excellent way to go about improving nerve function and any sort of inflammation of nerves, especially in the peripheral tissues of the feet and of the hands. We know that that's one of the symptoms when people have high blood sugar. And then also you want to use glutathione. Glutathione is a way to improve insulin resistance. So that's where the insulin hormone is not interacting with the insulin receptor very well. And so the insulin receptor is on all of our cells, and it causes the cell to grab glucose and to pull it into the cell. Glucose is our #1 fuel. And so that goes into the metabolism process of that cell. And if it can't get glucose into the cell, then as a result, you have high blood sugar, right? So that's actually the definition of some of the ailments that plague us as a society. And so those 3 patches would be excellent: glutathione, carnosine, and X39.
So here's another one, and now I'll be curious how you answer this, but someone's asking, are the patches safe for someone who's pregnant and someone that's 3 months pregnant? And I'm just saying, I learned from a biochemist friend of mine years ago. He said there's 3 types of people in the world: males, females, and pregnant females.
That's really funny, because we learned that in school as well, is that you never can rule out anything in regards to pregnancy. So you have to basically open your mind to any possible opportunity with a pregnant lady. So I concur with his assessment. But to my knowledge, there's no particular reason why photobiomodulation would be contraindicated in pregnancy. From my knowledge, the only issue that you have, and this is really not an issue, is more just a counterintuitive. If you are actively going through chemotherapy or something like that, then X39 should not be worn. But all other scenarios are available. There's no age restriction. There's no pharmaceutical restriction. There's no issue with pregnancy unless there's some other issue at hand. And then that's a case-by-case basis, and I think that's something you should discuss with your clinician. And I'm always in favor for taking a couple of our articles from the website and just giving them to your doctor and saying, hey, guy or gal, this is what I'm doing. I'm wearing these patches. Please understand that this is what I want to do for my health, and help them to understand, exactly how this works. Because for many of my colleagues and peers, they just don't know. So they could use a peer-reviewed study that gives them something that they can rely on as something legitimate, and familiarize themselves with how it works, and be confident that you're doing the right thing with your body.
Great. And Kira's inquiring, would you recommend X39 or another patch to be helpful for skin issues on someone's hand?
So, the guys, in general, I think the best way to approach this is, what's the culprit? What's the root cause of these issues? So a lot of times we have these symptoms, we have these issues, we have these diagnoses, and they're really associated with something different. It's something we've eaten, it's something we haven't eaten, it's some environmental situation, it's some stress situation, our gut health is not appropriate, blah, blah, blah. So in the instance of some sort of dermatitis or some sort of issue with inflammatory processes with the skin, I would go glutathione, I would go Eon. Those would be my 2 first choices. Always, I think everybody should be wearing X39. So X39, glutathione, and Eon. The reason why I say glutathione, it's an amazing detoxifier. It helps to clean out the liver. It helps to clean out heavy metals and toxins. It also helps to modulate the immune response. So most all of these issues are our immune system working against us. Okay, so that's kind of where the glutathione comes in, and then Eon is also a great anti-inflammatory component. So that's really good as well, and kind of helps to calm our psyche and those sorts of things, which also can contribute to skin issues as well if you're stressed out and emotionally unstable.
Beautiful. Here's a doctor-to-doctor question from Dr. Seymour to Dr. Jeff. Does the X39 work in a similar manner as nitric oxide to lower?
That's a great question. I do think that there's some component of vasodilation that happens similar to nitric oxide. I don't know that GHK copper peptide necessarily increases nitric oxide, but I know that there's a remodeling of the cardiovascular system and that the internal lining of the arteries begins to rebuild itself with the stem cell production, and that the heart has a better contractility and those sorts of things. And there's a lot of studies that have been conducted, not necessarily on nitric oxide and vasodilation, but more so just the macro effects of the blood pressure. So we looked at the blood pressure and how it was affected over time in several different individuals, but I don't know if they got to a microscopic level on exactly how that process happens.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Here's another one. We got time for maybe a couple of more. And is there a best patch or patches for weight loss?
I love SP6 Complete. And so that one is just unbelievably beneficial for helping you curb any sort of addictions or any sort of bad habits or anything like that. So a friend and a colleague of mine, actually my sponsor who brought me into LifeWave, she's lost 30-something pounds and has basically ended her relationship with carbohydrates by wearing SP6 Complete. And so there's a lot of research and study that says that not only do you kind of curb your enthusiasm for some things that may not be the best for you, but also you've got this wide spectrum of organ physiological improvement when you consistently wear SP6 Complete. So, you know, you can add a few others. Obviously, I'm always a big proponent for X39, so that could add to SP6 Complete, but that's kind of our weight loss patch.
Beautiful. And here's Sarah wants to know, she's got a colleague that wants to know about stacking the patches. Mm-hmm. Is that as effective, and how long could you or should you use them for in a stacked mode?
So actually, Dr. Quila was the one who turned me on to stacking. And so I stack on occasion for specific things that I want to do. And I've actually been reading a couple of books from patchandprotocol.com. And that gentleman is a big proponent for stacking as well. I'm blanking on his name right now. But I don't think there's any particular changes to the dosage and the rationale for how you wear the patches. It's still 12 hours on, 12 hours off, or 24 on and 24 off. So that just works together. So, but for example, Eon and glutathione together are a powerful anti-inflammatory component. So if you got any sort of autoimmune stuff, if you've got rash or GI issues or anything that's associated with like a revved up immune system, stacking Eon and glutathione is really powerful. That's one of the most significant ones that I have played around with. But I've read about stacking all three of the YH, so glutathione, Eon, and carnosine together. I've played around with X39 and Alavita together. I played around with X39 and Eon together. That's a powerful sleep component. Right here at the third eye, I wear X39 and Eon sometimes to bed at night. So I think that's kind of a case-by-case basis, but those are some of the ones that I know are beneficial.
Well, I think if you don't mind, Dr. Jeff, we'll just go a couple of more. And here's
Absolutely.
one someone's asking about, can X39 or another patch be used for anxiety and nightmares from PTSD?
Eon.
Mm-hmm.
Eon is amazing. I also like Alavita to go to bed. So Alavita is not marketed or promoted as sleep. improvement, more so for skin health and for thyroid, pituitary, adrenals, prefrontal cortex. Those are the different organs and organ systems that Aloe Vera works with. But for some strange reason, boom, you put it right there on the third eye, on the back of the neck at night, and you get some really good rest. So I will go there. Obviously, Silent Night is good as well.
And here's somebody mentioned today is Doctor's Day. I didn't know there was a Doctor's Day.
It is. Yes.
All right. Well, congratulations, Doc.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome. So let's see. Yes, and this is recorded. It'll be up on our Live Younger YouTube channel tomorrow, so you'll able to hear replay. And here's the last question. What would you recommend for people with failing eyesight?
Wow. So that goes back to our stacking discussion. And so it depends. Okay. So there's a plethora of different issues with the eye. For most people, it's just over time you have this deterioration of your vision and you need to wear a stronger prescription in your glasses and those sorts of things. So in that instance, I really recommend getting a sleep mask. And so for those of you who are not familiar, if you don't want the light to come through the blinds and wake you up prematurely, you wear this mask over your eyes. Usually it's some sort of cotton or satin material, and you have a band that wraps around. And so on the inside of that mask, so if you're wearing it like this, on the inside of that mask, on either side, you'll stack glutathione and eon. So that stacking is over each of your eyes. You want the adhesive to be on the mask, not on your skin, right? And so, but that will actually be projecting that reflected energy right into the pupils and into the eyes. And so people have seen really significant differences, from month to month. They go back to their optometrist and they don't need a stronger prescription or what have you. Now, if we're talking about a traumatic injury, or if we're talking about maybe a pressure buildup in the eye, or if we're talking about some infection of the eye, then that's a little bit different. I still think glutathione and eon stack would be really good. If you're looking for a nerve function in the eye, carnosine would be really good. I've also heard that X39 right up against the eye is really good. Now, if you don't want to wear a sleep mask, or if you don't want to wear an eye patch, you can patch on the pupils, but the temples. You can patch over the eyebrows, or actually right down here on the cheek. All of those are really powerful acupuncture points that would provide some relief.
Well, Dr. Jeff, we could keep you here for the next hour based on all the questions we have, but I don't think we can do that because we try and keep these calls down around 30, 35 minutes. But Dr. Jeff, do you do telemedicine? I think on one of our calls you mentioned, are you available for online, telephone consultation? I
am. Yes. Or Zoom or phone, either. And what I can do is I can just put my email down in the chat. And if anybody is interested in a one-on-one consultation, we can make that happen. And just want to let you know that tomorrow, every Wednesday, actually, we have Ask Dr. Jeff, which is an interactive Zoom call very similar to this one. And we try to answer as many questions as we can, and you'll have another opportunity to kind of ask your questions and get a little more insight from myself, and do it with Bill Fox. And so we hope everybody will join, and also want to encourage everybody to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can just type in my name right there as you see it on the screen, and you'll be able to find me. You type that into the search engine on YouTube, and you'll be able to pull up my channel and then subscribe, and you can see all of the archive of Ask Dr. Jeff and other videos that I've done in the past. And if you want to ask a question that way, you can as well.
Beautiful. And if they'd like a personal consultation for a fee, they can contact you and arrange an appointment for doing that.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful.
And I'll put that in the chat right now so everybody can take a look.
Great. Well, while he's typing in, I want to thank everybody for being with us. I apologize for the little AV. One thing about technology is the gremlins do sneak in there every once in a while. So there it is. It's Dr. Hubbard, MD at gmail.com. So if you want to get that, grab it now, because when we stop the webinar, the chat goes away. And so if you want to grab his email address and arrange for personal consultation, there it is for you. Dr. Jeff, it's always such a pleasure. Normally I'm on the listening side, but I'm filling in for Robin here today, and such a delight to be here with you. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and knowledge so freely with everyone.
No, I really appreciate it. These calls are always awesome. And thanks so much for facilitating. You did a great job.
Yep. When you could hear me.
we can't blame you for the technical difficulties. So
That's right. That's right. Okay, well, God bless everyone. I wish you the best that life and LifeWave has to offer. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dr.
All right, see you guys soon.
Good night, everyone.